One of the things I like to do when I have a live course, people, when I'm teaching, is I announce the 5 most important things about making great videos. And I say, I'm going to put them on the board here, all 5 of them, and I'd like you all to pick one of the 5. It doesn't matter which one you pick, just pick one of them. And if you take that away with you today, then your time would have been well spent. And then I put on the board this. And it always gets a few laughs. And then I have to remind people, I'm being serious. If you're not capturing good quality sound, if you're not spending time in your edit creating a soundtrack, then you're missing the point of good video making. Because sound is vital, or good audio is vital. It's, if anything, more important than video. And I am absolutely serious when I say that. Which means, in terms of equipment, we should be spending money on microphones. And that's why, in the previous video, I said that if you're looking at cameras and you're checking them on your list, and what you should get, right at the top should be the camera's ability to accept all kinds, not just proprietary kinds, of microphones. That means I can fit that for one purpose. I can fit that for another purpose. I'm using a lapel lavalier microphone at the moment for a different application. If I can't choose the microphone for, just like I would choose the camera, just like I would choose the lens, just like I would decide, oh, this GoPro would be good for this, you're also choosing a microphone. Every time you pick up a camera, you're picking up 2 things. You're picking up a camera and you're saying, how am I going to record the sound? And that is an absolutely vital part of it. So what I do is I carry a range of microphones. I have my 2 favorites right here. This one is a Sennheiser. I've had it for very, very many years. This type of microphone, Rode also make a like. The Rodes have come up some beauties. Value for money, Rode is really good, generally speaking. Rifle microphone doesn't exclude, but eliminates a lot of the background noise. Remember, if you're recording people talking, you want to hear what they're saying. The last thing is you want your audience to struggle. Oh, what are they trying to say? No, you want a clear, crisp, clean sound. These microphones are generally attenuated very nicely for voice and for general sound effects, but they're mono, which is fine for voice. Voice can be mono. That's not a problem at all. And it eliminates a lot of background noise. Of course, if you've got a guy with a jackhammer right behind your subject, you need to turn the microphone around. So be aware as you're filming what sound is being recorded. Monitoring sound is a great idea, but sometimes it's not practical to do so. So really having a microphone system that is reliable, so you don't always have to monitor, because if you're doing a selfie and you're wearing a great big thing, headphones, it doesn't really work, does it? So you have to rely on equipment. Most of this equipment with auto audio levels actually does a very, very good job, and for the purposes of YouTube is quite sufficient for its purpose. So set your camera on audio auto leveling. Use this kind of microphone with a mount that, this is a rubber mount that absorbs shock. Remember, every time your finger touches this, you will hear horrible noise, horrible sound. So you don't want any part of anything touching that. Okay, so that's also vital in that the rig should be separate from the microphone, and some kind of rig where if you do touch the camera, it's not transmitted through to the microphone. Therefore, this kind of mount is really, really useful. Wind protection. Now, I like Rode microphones a lot, but some of their wind protection is really quite mediocre. I don't know why. This is Rycote, made by Rycote. It is outstanding. I can shoot on a beach in a windy day with that, and I'll get good, clean sound. That's really, really nice to have, and I can rely on it. I know, I make sure that's put on properly, and I can rely on good, clean sound, even in strong wind. But that kind of microphone is really good for sound, for voice, hearing people's voice. For ambience, and ambience is really important. I've seen so many very, very common mistake, and I'll mention it in the editing part of this course. People will take out the ambient sound effects and replace it with music. No, the ambient sound is so valuable to the feeling of the video. Therefore, if you can, get a microphone, a small stereo microphone. Stereo is better for ambience. Okay, the crashing of waves on the beach, beautiful early morning bird call, the rustling of the leaves in a tree, a brook, a babbling brook, a race car, wow! You know, that beautiful sound as it's, you know, goes from one side to the other or disappears into the distance. You'll only get that with a stereo microphone. This is a recent acquisition and I absolutely love it. It's called the Rode Stereo Pro. It wasn't cheap. It's attenuated very nicely for sound, for voice. And if I'm in an environment where there's not a lot of background noise, I can just use that. And it will pick up my voice very clearly in stereo, as well as beautiful background ambience, but I cannot use it in a noisy environment. Then I drop that and I pick up that. So those are my two microphones that I use all the time while filming. And of course I can attach these microphones to all my cameras, okay, except for the GoPro, which I can't. I used to be able to, but I cannot anymore. The other part about, I did mention it briefly, is wind protection. Don't assume anything. If you buy a new piece of wind protection for your microphone, you're going to need to test it first. Know what level of wind that they work. They all have their limitations. If you know that, then you won't guess. I made that mistake earlier this year. I assumed this was good in a light wind. It isn't. It's no good in any wind at all. So outside, I put this on. Inside, I put that on. The last thing, of course, lapel microphones. I'm wearing one now. Radio microphones. If using a long lens and your subject is far away or you're quite far away. Now, what I'm doing now with this environment, I'm using a full frame camera with a 90mm f2.8 lens pointed at me. The background is just a little bit out of focus and I am 4 meters from the camera. But I'm using a radio lapel microphone because they're perfectly attenuated for voice. If there was background sound here, noise here, the microphone would clean it up very nicely. My voice would still come through really strong. If you're shooting your vlog, blog, talking to camera in a very noisy environment, go from this to this. They're even better at it. But you can't point it at somebody else. It's just for you. But you'll get really beautiful sound. So what I'm doing is if I'm filming in a very busy environment, I'll actually wear this. I'll have both mounted on the camera and I can just unplug the one, plug the other one in and go. I can immediately make a choice just like I would do changing a lens. I can make a choice and change my microphone at the same time. That gives you a brief oversight into the equipment that I use. I will now talk about camera mounts, tripods, and we'll get onto drones.